Hi, I'm Faith.
And I'm Neysa. And this is
Go Ladies, a podcast about navigating life, love,
and so much more
from a 40-plus perspective.
Hey, people. Happy to see you here. Look at you guys. Can't see you guys, but favorites of the peoples. I do. I'm happy to be back.
Me too. You got new hair. These braids are giving me life.
I do have new braids. A little something extra.
Cute.
Yes. And I'm in a different space. I'm in Chicago right now. So I'm in a hotel room to get this kind of picture and utility something behind me. I don't know. But I'm here. We all have our own quirks.
We have quirks. Okay, where have we been? Right? We took off.
Yes.
On social. We took a break. Because life happens. Life happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think I did anything really special though when life happens. I think I hung out with my daughter. We went to the movies. I did see, what movie did I see? I saw the Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland, Uncharted.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know
that. It's basically National Treasure with a pirate.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it was decent.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
What'd you do?
Oh my God, can I please just share? So I had a day where I did nothing.
It never happens.
Especially for me.
Because you say you do nothing, but then you'll be like, but my last sisters and I went to 6-7 places and we had brunch and drinks and
listen. When I tell you, I didn't even work out. It was on a Saturday.
I always work out.
I know. So I was supposed to go see a musical. Things got weird, ended up not going. Cool, fine for me. I needed to be home. And that was around the time, like I would have worked out, but because I thought I was going to musical, I'm like, no, I won't have enough time. So anyways, no musical. What does Faith do? I'm about to lay here and watch Netflix all damn day. And that's what I did. Now I didn't brush my teeth. Like I got, I basically exchanged the PJs for sweatpants and a t-shirt.
That's valid.
I felt so good. And initially I was starting to feel bad, but I had cleaned my house throughout the week. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna lay here. I'm gonna eat food. I'm gonna drink water, and I'm gonna just lay and watch Netflix. That's what I did all day. Best day ever.
Amazing.
Best day ever.
Sounds amazing. Oh no. Yeah. Okay. I think I did that on Sunday. Like I had to catch a flight to Chicago, obviously. And I got up and I packed and I piddled around, I packed, and I piddled around, I packed. Then I was like, took the trash out. But like I did nothing until I went to the airport. Like nothing real productive. I'm like, it's my last day of chilling at home. I'm gonna chill. So yeah. No one's gonna change my sheet and take all the trash out and empty my fridge up before I travel. So, I do all those things and I'm done.
I understand.
I went to Willie B's on Friday night. You did? The Antioch location.
Okay.
The new, because the one on Buchanan is currently under renovation. So
correct.
So I've never been, but I heard good things about it. Mm-hmm. And so for those who don't know, Willie B's is kind of like this restaurant lounge with a little club vibe. Like
they have hookah.
Yeah, they do. Everybody got hookah now, which is not my ministry, but do you? But I went for dinner. And so I got there and I made reservations, not knowing what to expect. Mm-hmm. So walk in, immediately seated, close to the DJ. You can't really have a conversation over dinner when you are at this location. However, I did find out that prior to 8, it's quieter and more restaurant. After 8 is when it gets to the turn up. They turn it up. So yeah. So I think I was there about 7:30ish. So I guess I was in the cusp of the turn up.
Okay.
The food was good. The food
Yeah.
was good. The drink I had was good. So yeah, I would do it again.
But you would do earlier.
I would do early if I'm trying to talk to people. You
Okay.
know, like if I'm having a dinner and when I
Yeah.
have a conversation with somebody, I can't yell over this music, you know?
True.
So if I went with like to talk to somebody earlier,
Okay.
shake a little bit later.
Yes. Okay. That's good to know.
Mhm.
That's good.
It was
Yeah.
good.
Okay. Same for I've been to the original location.
Okay.
And but I've been like for brunch.
Mm.
And it's still a little hard to talk to people there because they have the DJ throughout the day, I will say. So
Okay.
that's good. The food is good.
It was tasty. I'll do it again.
Okay.
Yay.
Good.
So we chilled, we rested. I went to one of these.
Yes.
You know, you work out 1,000 days a week. So our weeks have been very, very normal. I mean, they have for the most part in the grand scheme of things. But while our weeks have been normal, other parts of the world, it's not normal right now.
No. Come on, segue.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. Let me.
You're hilarious to me. No, but seriously, like, real honest.
Okay.
I wasn't in a good headspace on Sunday. Told you I had to chill, had to flight, all those things. But
Yeah.
I woke up and I was not in a good headspace. Okay. Like, and it was, I didn't realize I was teetering on the edge. And you know, when you teeter on the edge, that one thing that puts you over. And you're like, I'm gonna let here and spiral for a little bit. And so for me, the one thing that put me over was the video of the people from Africa at the Ukraine train station being taken off the train and being blocked from getting on the train.
Yep.
It broke my heart. Like it broke my heart. And it really wasn't even the situation for the Ukraine. It really wasn't even just even that particular moment. It's gonna sound so hokey, but it's just my truth. Yeah. I'm a Star Trek kid. Like I'm not a Star Wars person. I'm a Star Trek kid. And I'm watching Discovery Star Trek, and I actually was binging. It over the week, you know, the weekend. Yeah. So I was behind a few episodes, and I was watching Star Trek Discovery and looking at just the different people who are getting along and doing all these, you know, things and Federation and all that. Not saying they don't have adversity and some things that happen, but they really are better together. And then contrasting that, which I know is fiction, like I know that this is fiction. I know that it is not real. But then contrasting that with the images that we saw out of the Ukraine, and it broke my heart, you know? Because how often do we tout, for even in the US, a more perfect union? Yeah. How often do we tout, you know, liberty and justice for all? How often do we tout these things, but yet do not make them reality? And to see that even in the midst of war, like even in the midst of an invasion, instead of being my brother's keeper, your Lord of the Flies, it's like the zombies gonna eat us all. Shit, it's just call it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like it bothered me, and I think it made me at that moment despair for humanity. Like we're gonna get this right. You know, and I know that people are like, oh, you can't get down. There's shining examples of all this good, and there are. People do good works every day, and you know. But at the same time, when people do bad, they do bad in such magnitudes. Yes. And it's just like, thank you for the Kit Kat and buy my McDonald's, you know, in the drive-through, but, you know, that doesn't negate people who are in food deserts. It doesn't negate people don't access clean water. It doesn't negate racism and systemic practices that keep people downtrodden. Our voter rights bills being rolled back, or you can't say gay in Florida. You can't be a transgender kid in Texas, and oh, I can't, you know, police my own uterus, but you don't want to wear no mask. And it's just all these things. Like, am I my brother's keeper or am I not? And that's where it gets to. And I'm just like, oh, nope, Lord of the Flies, got it. So it was long-winded, but that was how I felt on Sunday.
That was good, honey. Come on, pop off. That should go off. I liked it. Sure, that was very disturbing. And there was like outcry, like, even why aren't we showing it on the news, or why isn't it being shown? And I do believe I saw something this week though, with Gail and them talking about it. But
CBS.
yeah. So I agree. Very disturbing. I don't want to say I'm numb to that, but I really do. In the wake of that, you had the picture of Andre 3000 circulating, right? Where he had the one piece on why, across the world our darker cultures, whatever. I don't want to say I don't know how to feel. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say much more than that, but I'm not surprised. Not saying it's right, but I'm just not surprised.
No,
across the globe, people of color, Black people, are mistreated across the globe. It's not just a US thing, everywhere. It's really messed up. And yeah, I think you've said plenty. So
you're so wonderful. Like, that's my whole thing. And I'm a totally misquote it, but there was a quote, and actually I can't even remember who said it, but it was basically, when you think about people being racist, I think how sad for them to deny them the pleasure of my presence.
I know what yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, like,
yeah.
We kind of the shit. Like,
we are. Not kind of.
I mean, no, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be,
No, we are.
I know, but
I'm a B. We are.
Yes, I totally understand that. But resilient, forgiving.
Oh my God, aren't we forgiving?
Yes. Yes. Because people think that the riots that happen after, a social injustice are indicative of us not being forgiving. But if all you get is a riot that's a small burst, that's actually the least of what you should be receiving. You know what I mean? It's like you have the pressure cooker and you let the little steam out, but it's still under pressure.
Yeah.
That's what those riots are. It's just a release valve for a second. But let us set this mug off for real.
Yeah.
It's a Nat Turner moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm not going to say it's not deserved. I am going to say, though, that I'm leaning more kingy than, than it's a non-violent king. Let me clarify, not the pacifist make him out to be in, revisionist history, but the non-violent essence of king, that, we have to do better about, not burning everything down. And I don't think that violence is always the answer, but I understand it. I do understand it. And I think that we are an amazing people. We offer so much to the world. We color so much of the world. There's so much of our aesthetic that you want to emulate and imitate and try to co-op and co-own and rename and gentrify.
Hello.
But that's just because we got the sauce. You know what I mean?
We do.
We got the sauce. And it's like,
absolutely.
You're so mad that we got the sauce.
Mad, big mad.
We got the sauce, let's celebrate the sauce, and this all be saucy. You know what I mean? Like, there's enough sauce to go around,
Come on, sauce. I mean, we are the sauce. We are the curators of cool. We are anything comes from us. It's us.
Be saucy.
And we own it. And
we do.
Well said, sis. I like that. Well said.
Yeah. But getting back to the Ukraine, I am like keeping one eye on it because there are nuclear powers at play. It's ain't no little, pachu gun. They got the big bigs over there.
Yeah.
So
that's important.
Yeah.
We agree. As newsies, especially, just know what's going on. And it's okay to explore other sources too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Definitely. World, like what what are other entities saying or whatever.
Oh yeah. I keep on my phone personally, I have the CNN and I have the BBC. Like, let me see. And I also click on the world versions, like, okay, what are we saying here? But what are we saying elsewhere as well? Like, how are people viewing us? Because it's one thing they think you look good in the mirror, but how do you really look when somebody's looking at you? So
you can just drop the mic. You had all the words. I mean, but mostly I know that already. Neysa, great orator.
I am not.
Great debaters.
Let's ask all the questions.
Come on, Samantha Book.
Anyway, so
yes,
obviously, Ukraine's a big deal, and of course, last night, President Biden.
Yeah, JoJo. Yep.
JoJo, I heard him call a multitude of things.
I know.
President Biden gave a State of the Union address. So, I mean, I don't think it was anything that was just like shocking out of it. Right. Everybody I know was listening for school loans, like that. You didn't say, all right. That part. So
I think there obviously were many moments that came under scrutiny, but one was kind of one, voting rights. It was like 4 words, you know what I mean? Ask John Lewis, like it. So I noticed on the news, they kind of picked that out of it. Like, why didn't he spend more time talking about that? Because he did mention it, but it really was then on to the next one. You know, not a lot of time was spent on that. So that was interesting to me.
Yeah. That was interesting, and I didn't catch that part of this morning's news broadcast, but they were talking about other things. But for it to be an election coming up, you would think that they would double down on this one.
That was,
yeah, that makes sense.
Gail talked to VP Harris about it, so
Cool.
So,
Oh, it was very interesting seeing Kamala and Pelosi. So let me not do that. VP Harris and
thank you,
Pelosi.
Cam, and Nan.
I think that is something that we all do. We obviously I respect the office of all of these leaders, right?
Yeah.
But we love them.
Yeah.
We call Auntie Shell, exactly. Right. Well, first instance, I should say,
right.
Pelosi and Vice President Harris. Now,
now when we meet you, of course, we're not like, hey, girl.
Of course. But I can be like, hey, girl. No, I can do that for them.
At the house.
Yeah.
Amongst friends,
Exactly. So I thought it was a very interesting visual, though, with 2 women, obviously, behind the president. I thought that was very good.
Yeah.
I'll be quite interested when that role reverses and there's a woman at the podium and 2 guys behind her. So, yeah.
Okay, we'll see. Yeah.
That'll be cool.
That will be.
So, okay.
What, shenanigans?
You remember when President Barack Hussein Obama gave the State of the Union, I'm saying this man's whole name.
I'm saying his whole name every time.
President Barack Hussein Obama. In case he watches the pod. Just go wait. But
yes.
He gave State of the Union, and then there was a representative who yelled out, "You lie." Like they had planned to do it as a group.
Right.
And then he didn't get the memo, like, oh, we changed our mind. And he yelled that anyway.
Yeah.
So 2 representatives decided to take up that mantle and double down on it in the State of the Union, and we're yelling out like it's a sporting event.
Thank you.
Like, this is not Titans. This ain't the Super Bowl.
It's not a game.
You don't yell at this event. You clap or you look mad. Those are your 2 options.
You use your body. Don't use your mouth, but you just sit and look stoic.
If it is your president of your party,
yes,
you stand up and you clap. You cheer, you get up and down. Like Catholic Church, you get up and down the whole time. If it is not the president of your party, you do this. You look mad, you cross your arms. And then if he mentions veterans, you clap on that part. You always got to clap for the veterans. But other than that, You don't clap. These are the rules. It's political theater at this point. But you don't
shut
yell.
up. You don't.
But you don't yell.
You don't. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So, MTG, Representative Taylor Greene, and Representative, I'm gonna say her name, Boebert.
I haven't called everybody.
But they were the sporting events.
Yeah.
Now, whatever your political leanings are, not for me to decide, not for me to comment on. I will say though that there is a time and place for people to have some decorum.
For sure.
And respect the office.
Yep.
There have been presidents that I don't like. I will never, ever see eye to eye with. Am I lying?
You're not lying. You're
Right?
facts. Okay.
Facts.
Yes.
However, I would never disrespect the office of the presidency. You know, I can disagree with politics. I can disagree with people. I can disagree with morals and values. I can disagree with even how your hair is cut. But what I will not do is disrespect the office of the president and yell out something like that at the State of the Union.
Yeah. It just, At the house, you yell at TV all day long.
All day.
You was elected, you there. You don't yell. You don't. Like you said, you gave what the guidelines are. You operate within those parameters, and that's just how that works.
It's not even call and response like church. Like State of the Union is a very solemn occasion.
Yeah.
It's not you better preach it, Joe. We're not doing that. Say that. We're not doing that. You know?
Yeah.
You get a.
And what does it do? That's like, you look crazy.
People are crazy though. So
I mean, that's true. That is true. But you just look, I'm just like, okay. Like, I'm just, girl, sit down. Like,
so here's my question. Beyond just this incident that happened.
Right.
Recently,
okay.
Just last night, really. What does it take to be reprimanded, and where is the bottom? That's my question. So what does it take to be reprimanded? Meaning, we have people doing a whole lot of misbehavior and bad behavior and acting just as antithesis of the American dream, antithesis of American values. Even though those values we do not always fulfill, we at least profess them, right?
Yeah.
And when people don't have any consequences for their bad behavior at any level of government, then it says to people that none of this should be respected. You know, I can't tell my child, respect law, respect this, respect that, when all they see is people disrespecting it all the time. And I can hope and pray that my influence is enough, and if my kids are watching, it is. But but the reality of it is, it sullies us all, you know? Because nobody else has to respect the president.
Right.
If your own people ain't.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know? So I just don't understand, like, what do they hope to gain, and why are we not punishing those who misbehave? Because we have to show that the justice is equal for all of us, and the consequences are for all of us. I can't go to work. If my boss was giving a state of the business, and I'm gonna yell out some mess, they're gonna be like, here your box with your stuff in it.
Yeah, you got to go.
Your last check will be mailed to your home.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Time for discourse.
There's not even like a fine. I mean, you look at, like, you know, sports players, and they get a fine for something, you know what I mean? But with lawmakers, no.
It's just like, they voted me in, so I'm above the law.
Right.
They voted you in, you should be the epitome of the law. And I'm not trying to pedestal anybody, because we're all human. I don't think that we should pedestal anyone. but I think that you should model the ideals that they've told you to do. But I mean, maybe they are modeling the ideals of their constituents. I don't know. It's just
That's that part.
that is that part.
Yeah, you said it.
That is that part, which is why we're Lord of the Flies and not better than this. I mean, truly, somebody voted. They didn't just ascend to the throne themselves. Somebody voted for that, and somebody saw this level of misbehavior and thought, that's the one right there. We've seen that over the past, couple of years now, that, the crazier it gets, the more people are like, nope, that's what I want right there, the crazy. And I'm like, that's not what we should be doing. Like, this is not reality. This ain't the real world. This is not and I love the real world. This ain't the real world, I don't care if Tammy Roman beat up somebody on Basketball Wives. That doesn't bother me. These are people who should be, I don't.
I know.
That doesn't,
Yeah.
She's not making not one law for my life. She's not enforcing laws that impacting my life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
These people are.
Are they? Yeah.
So,
yeah. They're held to a different standard for sure. They should be. And for there to be no punishment or anything, it's I agree.
They should be banished from the halls. But hence why I'm not in charge. I be banishing people. Yeah. No.
Well, I don't know what's happening. What do you think? What would be some good consequences to our listeners and viewers? What do you think?
For the people who were yelling last night, I think they should be banished. I think they should be censured. I think that they should be fined. And if those things are not allowed by law, because I don't know what the punishments that we have on the thing are, I think that they should lose their committee standings. You get to come vote on the big stuff, but you don't have a committee say so because you don't act right. And
I think term. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
One term.
No, I was gonna say short term. They need to be escorted out to begin with. And
need some good old Baptist ushers.
For me, you got to go. You gotta get out. Like a courtroom.
Yes.
You have the they got the gavel.
Bang it up.
And if you keep acting up, you gotta go. Just to start. That's a start. But you're disrupting.
Yeah.
You gotta go.
That's a good one. I mean, people get escorted to football games all the time. If you want to treat like a football game, then you should go ahead and get escorted out of the football game.
You gotta go. Ain't nobody doing all that.
No.
Okay.
I just
come on, deep breath.
I know I do a deep sigh, wasn't it? There's no test to be a politician.
Yeah.
There's nothing you have to do other than get the vote and live in the district. So you could be any background, which is the great thing about it, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to be something special to ascend to the throne.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, we require more knowledge to be a citizen coming from this country on the naturalization test than we do to actually require people to be in politics. Yeah, and I think there has to be a basic understanding of how this works, and not just for freshman congressmen, because freshman congressmen, of course, they have that whole workshop and orientation and all that. It's kind of late then. You're already there.
Yeah.
I just wonder if there's some kind of vetting process that we should put on this. Not saying to exclude anyone.
Right.
About a poll tax like we had in the past, or those things that were used to keep Black people from voting. All these hard tests they had for us last week. And maybe the way but seriously, like, there are some basic things you should know before you get to be we the people and vote on behalf of we the people. So
well, speaking of we the people, basic skills, knowledge, to be a Supreme Court justice, you
no.
should know the law in your sleep, all the stuff.
Backwards and forwards.
Exactly. So in last night's address, whenever you all watch this, but President Biden acknowledged the retiring justice. Help me out, Neysa. What was his name?
I forgot his name, but he looked so happy.
He was so grateful. Like, you can tell. Like, they stood for him, they clapped, and he was so gracious, and he was, oh my God. Like, and it didn't seem fake, like you said. It seemed really, he was really happy.
He was.
He was really happy. So he was acknowledged because he's retiring, right? I'm trying to find his name. But the president nominated, I'm always Ketanji, right?
Ketanji.
Come on, Ketanji. I don't know why. I'm not from New York. I'm like, Ketanji. That's not her name. What's Kiki's full name?
Brown Jackson.
Ketanji Brown Jackson. Her name about to be Kiki, though, just so y'all know.
Let's go with it.
But that's a Supreme Court nominee. Black woman, knows way more than some of the other ones who've been confirmed. So there's that. And
you ain't lying. Go ahead.
What?
You ain't lying. Go ahead.
I mean,
Come on.
First Black woman, that was one of his campaign promises.
Correct.
So he nominated a Black woman. And her record, I mean, you can look it up for yourself, but she's very knowledgeable and tried and true in court. Correct. In DC, right? Metro DC area, if I'm not mistaken.
So Paul Ryan is her like family member.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Obviously through marriage.
Yeah.
But, like, somehow she's related to Paul Ryan through marriage. And when she was confirmed for her current seat,
mm-hmm.
he even said that sometimes we disagree ideologically, but there's no one who like has better values or whatever else.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very, kind of him. I mean,
absolutely.
You guys here at Thanksgiving, so you should be nice, but but yeah.
Some things are just undeniable. I mean, like, you, as much as you try and you want to shade and you would give people their props when you do well, you on top of your game. Yeah. Whether you like them as a person or not, like, acknowledge that, give her flowers. Exactly. So that's good to know that he said that. So
I'm very interested in how the confirmation process goes. I mean, as well as I do, anytime, a person of color, I'm gonna just say it, comes up, you have to be, like Daddy Pope said, twice as good to get half as far. And so I hope that the confirmation process is swift and fair, and not clouded or shaded with miscellaneous dog whistles that they throw out there. Like, I forget the gentleman. I'm sad that I can't remember, but there was a confirmation hearing for someone else recently, and he had like a speeding ticket years ago, and they talked to him so bad about a speeding ticket, and he like so much so they made him feel bad. And I'm like, y'all never had no ticket before, like it makes like a fireable offense, and I'm like, it's a ticket, like people get tickets, it's okay. You pay the fine, you keep it pushing, slow down, you learn your lesson. But anything that we do is always amplified. It's like the worst thing ever, and I'm like, And I hope the media continues using good pictures of her.
That is important. You're right.
It's important.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Think about how important it is, but the pictures, I have seen it for myself. When news entities take a picture to make you look more menacing or to make you look negative, instead of just choosing the headshot that you've provided, to err on a level playing field, and it's ridiculous. If you're gonna use a headshot for any candidate, you gotta use the headshot for all of them, Quit looking for the one to help reinforce, this one looks, he looks scary in this one, Don't do that. Don't do that.
Come on, media. Okay. No, that is true though. It's important to do that. Yeah.
And it's perfect time. It's Women's History Month.
Yay.
We come right from Black history to women's history.
Girl.
So, boom. I know, at the intersection of it all.
Come on, women's.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
you missed the fun.
Oh, yeah. So, Kiki, Auntie Kiki, ain't the only one, you know, shattering glass ceilings and operating in spaces where typically Black women might not have been seen before. So you had a guest, we had a guest, but you talked to the guest because I was getting my hair done, y'all.
Yeah, because she was getting her hair done at the hairdresser.
I missed the interview. So you're gonna see
Neysa. Stay an appointment, can't move it.
I mean, you see Neysa always come cuted and booted. Like, I can't be on here. You know, I give you a little something. It ain't, you know.
You don't have on red lips today.
I don't. I got food in the corner of my mouth.
What is wrong with you?
Anyway. I was trying to get a little snack before we started. Listen. I was like, let me just eat a little bit. Anyway, so yes, had a guest, Women's History Month, the Shattering Glass Ceilings. Who we talking about, Neysa?
Yes, so I had Alisha Shoates James on the show. And so, you know what? Let's talk about it. Let's just go to it. So, Faith, say goodbye here because we're not going to see you again. They're going to see me talking to Alisha after this segue, clip, something. Bye, Faith.
Okay, bye.
So, okay, thank you guys for tuning in. I know we just heard me and Faith talking about a litany of topics, but I am super excited today because we have actually one of my good friends. I think all of these guests have been some of my good friends because I have a dope circle. But one of my really, really good friends, a former coworker, Miss Alisha Shoates James. Now, look, I can give you her bio from Rooter to Tutor. She is an HBCU grad. She's a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. She is an amazing mom and wife. But Alisha, beyond all of those things, Alisha's had a very non-traditional career path. I don't know anyone who's done all the things she's done in such a short period of time. I mean, she's a boss of bosses. So without further ado, thank you, Alisha, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, my dear sister Neysa.
Yay, I'm so excited to be able to talk to you. Like, we owe each other brunch or something like really, really soon. So this is a good catch up. Oh, me?
For sure. Yeah.
You're the boss of bosses. The boss of bosses. So okay, let's just get into it. It's Women's History Month. And we've just named a Supreme Court nominee, Ketanji Brown Jackson. You know, that's a Biden's, choice for the nominee, still breaking these glass barriers, still breaking these glass ceilings. And you've had such a storied career. So for people who don't know, just can you walk them through your career path?
Yep, I sure can. So I started my career as, well, first of all, thank you so much for all of that praise. So sweet. And so I guess it's moments like this when you reflect and you really realize how far, you've come, and it's nothing but the grace of God. I will say that. So I started my career as a police officer, and I was working for the National Police Department. Did that for about 7 years, working everything from patrol to undercover investigation to background and recruiting. Left there after serving in the Obama White House for about 6 or 7 months for an internship, actually, at the Presidential Office of Personnel. And that opportunity shifted the way that I saw myself and the way that I saw my impact and what my impact could be. It sharpened me because everybody was great. Everybody in the White House was great. It was, iron sharpened iron type of environment. So I came back to the police department, and then I left and went to the federal system, where I served as a federal probation officer, a pre-sentence writer, firearms instructor, all that good stuff. Did that for several years. And I had a mentor who told me, hey, I know you're with the feds, but maybe you should consider going with a state agency. Because the state agency is kind of, they are on fire and they are looking for a dynamic change. And so I saw it as a unique opportunity. One where it's a crossroad where I could have been incredibly comfortable, or the opportunity to make some change that would be significant in the way that essentially would go down in history books with the passage of the criminal justice reform legislation and all of the things that were on the agenda at that time. And so I went and I served at the Tennessee Department of Correction, Division of Probation and Parole. Quickly moved up there, where my last position there was the assistant commissioner of the division. Had a great stint there, but was really frustrated, if I'm being completely honest, frustrated at the lack of innovation and technology that existed for returning citizens. And so I thought to myself, someone needs to create something. And so I went out on my own to start that journey. And I started my own consulting firm as well. And a short time later, a little bit over like 2 years later, I had one of my larger clients to approach me and say, hey, we really want to partner with you and team with you to be able to develop technology for the returning citizen in a more tangible way. We think that we can do something collaboratively. We just need you to help us figure out what that something is. And so I currently serve as Senior Vice President of Inventive Technologies, which is a parent company of a host of companies that service the correctional and probation and parole space.
So told you guys she was a boss of bosses. See, I didn't make that up. Hence why brunch will be definitely on you. Now, as you know, I mean, all these roles that you've talked about, from police department to federal probation and parole to the Department of Correction to now Inventive, let's be honest, when you think of these careers, you normally think of male spaces, right? Obviously, you are not a male, you are definitely a woman in these spaces. How has it been navigating kind of the boys club in these spaces as a woman?
Yeah, that's a heavy question. I'll start off with policing and traditional law enforcement. I think I had to early on get used to being the only one. And that only one looked different and it felt different depending on the scenario. But oftentimes I was either the only minority or the only female in the room. And a lot of times, especially in policing in the South, the only female minority, and often in certain environments. And so I really have developed the ability to lean into that onlyness, to really embrace it and allow it to drive me to not shy away, but understand that is the parameter, that is the playing field that I'm involved in or that I'm entering, and to be true to my ideas that I bring to the table and not shrink myself to give comfort to other people. And I hear people talk about the imposter syndrome. I think that's real. I think we all, regardless if people want to admit it or not, right? We all have some form of that. But I categorize that differently than shrinking yourself consistently for the comfort of others. And so I'm very proud to be at the company that I am now, who wholeheartedly, I feel like, more than any other space that I've occupied, embraces me being a female and me being an African-American female, and embraces my platform for me to bring more of that true raw, here's what I think, here's how I view whatever project we're working on, and allow me to lead in that way. So I'm very thankful for that journey, but it has been rough. In other agencies, it has been extremely rough. So
yeah, I can see that, and I know that. I want to dig in deep just for a second, just to make sure everyone understands what you're talking about. Talk about the only. You talk about how you embrace the only. Now, I know you, and so I know that while you may embrace being the only, you hold the door really wide open for others to walk in behind you. Can you talk about that and the responsibility of that?
Yeah, and I'm glad you categorize it as such. In my role in the 9 to 5 job that I've had, in my role as an investor, in my role as CEO, entrepreneur, right? I think that I find it as my responsibility as I grow to pull qualified individuals up and towards this, along with me on this journey. I hadn't even hit my peak of where I'm going to go. I have a firm belief that God has set me on this journey, not only for, my own well-being, but for the legacy of my forefathers. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm really close to my family. And, I feel that my father passed away when I was in college. And I feel a lot of what I'm doing is fulfilling his legacy. I had a brother to pass away when I was in high school. A lot of what I'm doing is to fulfill his legacy, right? And so being the only in the room, I feel like I have experienced some of life's hardest issues with losing my family members. And when I was in college, before I got married, there was a point that I thought to myself, half of my family is underground, half of my family that I was in the home with. And I thought that either I can cave into that or cave into that depression or sadness or whatever that is, or I can embrace the space and move forward for the vision. So you can understand that when I'm in places where I am the only woman, the only minority, I feel like I've already been through the worst of the worst. So, I'm gonna bring my best self. I'm gonna bring my most authentic self. And that doesn't mean that I feel like my most authentic self is that hardworking, trying to gain knowledge, trying to understand the landscape so that I'm well positioned to bring someone else on. It would not behoove me or someone else if I were to go into a space and not take that seriously, not do the work, and
Right.
just have the expectation like, this door has been open, and just have the expectation it's going to be easy peasy. No, 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 no. I have to bring myself 100% so I can vouch for whomever I have coming up. I will say this, and I'm not going to belabor the point, but the understanding of financial literacy, the understanding of the ability to secure investments, secure real estate, secure those types of things that I don't think will ever completely close the wealth gap, right, in this country. But those things are what we should be working towards. And I think that as I pull people along, it is sharing that type of information too. Things that I had no idea. I remember 18 months ago, I was having a conversation about real estate, and it was like a light bulb went on. And 7 months later, I was involved in closing a deal because I had this pot of knowledge. That's the type of stuff that I would say. That's the type of information that we have to pull on, as well as we're pulling folks up. Let's give them the information so they can do more with the seeds that they've been given.
Yeah, definitely. You're always one for lifting as you climb. So I know that personally, that you are a great proponent of that. So let's pivot a little bit, because you mentioned that your time in the Obama White House, with my forever president and my forever FLOTUS, but you said it allowed you to see yourself differently. And so often we're limited by what we see. We send our kids to college to get, a good job, and then we behoove them and kind of sometimes even crush their dreams about what they might aspire to be. How did that experience allow you to dream bigger?
Yeah. So I think it was the first time that I sat in a room and everyone had a story of success, a story of triumph, right? Where, this wasn't your normal internship. Well, first of all, I had to convince my chain of command to let me go, as I was a full-time police officer, but I was working in the background and recruiting division, and it was around the time of the economic downturn, and I said, well, you guys can't pay for training, because at that time the department had completely stopped training. I said, you can't afford to send me for training. I have this great opportunity. I just finished my master's degree. I qualified for this internship. Can you allow, will you allow me to go? It had to go all the way up through the approval for the chief of police and the mayor, right? And I saw myself in that moment, like, yes, I was a police officer too, or however it was classified, right? Like pretty much the lowest on the food chain. But I had enough vision, I had enough, wherewithal and belief in myself that I'm going to at least ask for it. People thought I was nuts. There was no way they were going to let me go. But I said, the worst that can happen is that they say no. So I went through that process, was given the nod to be allowed to go. Not only was I allowed to go and serve at the White House, I was paid as a full-time police officer and put on temporary duty assignment. Thank you, Chief Ronald Surpass. for making that happen. And so I thought to myself, I fought so hard to get here. When I get here, I'm going to make the most of it. So I sat down in this room. I remember orientation, and there were people that were, like myself, who had just graduated from grad school or law school or military, returning military. And so there were a room full of people who had dynamic stories and great stories. And I thought to myself, if I am sitting here as a graduate of Tennessee State University, right? Go Tigers. And the person next to me is sitting here and they went to Harvard or Yale or what have you and have these dynamic stories, then what really separates me? Like why am I any different than what the world would have me think about, my background and my degree and where I come from? And so it was a really interesting moment for me because I realized that as greatness was before me, I saw myself in that moment just as great. It was validation that my degrees were good enough. My experience as a police officer, which is gritty. That's a gritty field to go into.
Right.
That was as good as my counterparts. And through that time, I just met some of the most amazing people. Of course, the Obamas were absolutely gracious, intelligent, poised, articulate. All of those things that we understand the Obama family to be, they were that much more seeing it live and in person. And as were everybody who was around them, there was a sense of pride. There was a sense of pride. I remember one time we left the White House, it was the Eisenhower Executive Office building right next door to the West Wing. And we left about 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. in the morning, and we were preparing for there was like a Native American event where we were bringing in different dignitaries from all over the world for this event, and Mr. Obama was going to be there. And we had worked all day, and we left around 2 a.m., and I'm just exhausted at this point. And I think to myself, like, I look to my left, and there's the White House, and you got the National Monument, it's like one of those moments where you're like, I'm walking home from the White House at 2 o'clock in the morning. This is truly impactful work that we're doing on a scale that I hadn't seen myself there in previous years. I had never even imagined. I didn't have a White House Connect. I didn't know anybody in DC. Okay, my parents weren't even college graduates. They did great, but this was not a reality. And so it's moments like that I reflect on. And I said, I say to myself, I pinch myself like, goodness, I cannot believe that I had those experiences, that I saw myself in those rooms with those opportunities with individuals that looked like me, who had different background, people who didn't look like me with the same background, right? You had all these diverse candidates for the greater good to have impact for the American people. I mean, just truly one of the best experiences of my life.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I want to ask a hard question. So you've worked in criminal justice and around the criminal justice for the majority of your career, right? Obviously, you're a Black female, as am I, and we work together in corrections. So I know some of the comments that we get from our own demographic about us working in these spaces of criminal justice. How do you handle that? Because sometimes people think, oh, you're working in criminal justice, you're working for the man, keeping brothers down, and you have to have these conversations. I know what I say, but I'm interested to see how you handle those conversations.
Yeah, I feel that the work that I have done within the criminal justice community is meaningful for multiple facets, right? In leadership, being able to lead a team, bring my experiences to the table as a leader, from my cultural perspective, my education background, my experiential background, and to bring that to the forefront and show leadership in the criminal justice community with my background is something that needs to be seen, needs to be embraced, and needs to be more widespread. There's just not a lot of female leaders in the criminal justice segment. I remember when I first started policing, I think that's when I got the most criticism. And that's probably when it cut the most, right? Because I was trying to figure myself out. I started policing very, very young. Sometimes I think like we shouldn't have people start policing until they're 30, right? Like policing at 21, 22 years old, it's like you don't even like
you were a baby.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're figuring out life and like going on serious scenes as is. But I did face a lot of that when I first joined the police department, and I always took tremendous pride in wearing the heck out of that uniform. One, two, representing a demographic that we just did not see, and we still don't. I mean, honestly, we still have a long ways to go in the city with minority females or any type of diverse perspective as far as the female officer population. We still hadn't hit that, and here we were talking about almost 20 years later, right?
Right.
So I took tremendous pride in that. And then thirdly, I felt like I was fighting from the inside, right? Not fighting any like subgroup of people and to make it like us versus them type of whole situation. But it was like fighting for the good, like representing and showing that there are good law enforcement officers who care about the community, who care about, the people who wear the uniform. It has been my experience that the vast majority of law enforcement officers are truly committed to serving the public, right? Do you have kind of like your wild, kind of one-off situation or something? Yeah, absolutely, as does every field. But I think being able to represent and bring forward the perspective that I have at each stage allowed me to do my job more authentically and have some tough conversations with my peers to challenge them on their implicit biases as well.
Yeah, I always say it takes people agitated from the outside and working on the inside to really affect change. One without the other will never do it. So, you might be marching the street, might be at the boardroom table, but we're still advocating for the best outcome for all people that we can. So,
there you go. Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, I know it's getting late, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask you one final question. As I mentioned at the very top, you're a wife, you're a mother, you do all these amazing things. How do you take time for yourself? It's Women's History Month. We're all about making history, trailblazing, new trails. But at the same time, how do you preserve some of yourself for yourself and make sure you're recharged?
I'm just gonna be completely honest, because I can sit up here and give you a cookie cutter answer about how I do yoga or how I walk or all that type of stuff. I struggle in that area. Because I want to give 1,000% to everyone in my ecosystem, to my job, to my businesses, right? To my partners. Like I want to make sure that I give 1,000% everywhere. And oftentimes, like I have to be more mindful when it comes to making sure to take time for myself. I have really, really become addicted to podcast. I mean, like what do you call it? Yeah, podcasts, but the audiobooks.
Mm-hmm.
I've really been addicted to those. So I'll like pop in my AirPods and sit in my office and listen to audiobooks. That's one way that I decompress. My family truly is like the heartbeat of everything that I do. They are my why. Everybody, my son, my daughter, my husband, and my little doggy, right? Like I love our family unit. I'm tremendously, he's crying in the background. You probably can hear him. But I'm tremendously blessed and I feed off of their energy. So a lot of times decompressing on a Friday may look like everybody piling in the same bed and watching any type of, whatever new Disney movie is out, right? Or going to a baseball game and just having time with them. So I would say audiobooks, podcasts, especially your podcast, anything that Neysa touches is gold. And I have to brag on you because I remember way back in the day, I was working in the feds and you started doing these like blogs about marriage, right? And I was like, yo, I called Chris and say, Chris, Neysa is insane. Like she is her ability to craft the words that takes the readers into that moment. My goodness, right? Like so those. I just have to brag on you. It is what it is. But anything that you write or touch or podcast that you are on, Neysa is something that I'm listening to. And then who else? I like Robert Kiyosaki. Is who I'm currently listening to. I'm listening to Rich Dad Poor Dad again. I do like to listen to all types of individuals with varied backgrounds. I feel like listening to or having conversation with individuals with the same perspective repeatedly doesn't challenge me intellectually enough. And I would just say, as a person in today's time, I feel like we have to force ourselves into spaces to have conversations that are not comfortable. Correct. With the backdrop of saying we want to get somewhere, we want to either have a combined message or renewed focus, but just not for the sake of bickering back and forth. That is my hope where we will land. But that's what I guess that's really what I want. That's how I decompress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for bragging on me. You're always too kind. I always say, like, there's a short list of people that I will go into battle with, that I will follow to the ends of the earth. Like, you're one of those people that if you call, I'm coming. And, this ain't very long for people who I do that for, but, you're one of those people. I've always found you to be playful, which is kind of funny because you have such a serious job, but you'll come in and just, you're funny, you're playful, and you are super smart. Like, you challenge me to be better. So I always enjoy spending time with you because you challenge me to be better. Like you say, iron sharpens iron. So
iron sharpens iron. No weak ones in our crew. There's
not a
one.
Not at all. So if people wanted to find you, where should they find you? Is there a website? Is there an Instagram? Like, where do you want people to find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Alisha James 1, I believe, and on Twitter, the same handle. Not to sound like whatever, but Google me and you'll find.
Come on now, she said. Google me.
You just Google me and you'll find one of my socials. But reach out, man. I'm all about, like Neysa mentioned, I'm all about trying to take whatever education that I have. I think we have to make sure that we're not preserving to make sure we, I got to know everything about everything. No, whatever I know at this stage and people want to have more insight and access to, I definitely want to share that. So thank you so much for allowing me to come on and chat and catch up a little bit.
Yes, so thank you. I'm gonna end this recording so we can get this brunch scheduled. So thanks everybody. I'll make sure I'll put her information in the links, and I'll so you can reach out to her as well. All right, bye.